My name's David H.B. Drake, and because we have the 4th of July coming up, I'm doing a program called the American Songbag. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through her meadows and her mountains and her sand. Walk through her rivers and her valleys and her plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. All her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all, on us all. From Colorado, Kansas, and the Carolinas to Virginia and Alaska, from the old to the new, Texas and Wisconsin and the California shore. Tell me, who could ask for more? Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. All her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all, on us all. But she's only as rich as the poorest of the poor. She's only as free as a padlocked prison door. Only as strong as our love for this land. Only as tall as we stand. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. All her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all, on us all. It's a song by a fellow named Ochs. And so my show today is going to be songs about America, about the United States, the history. Of course, there's going to be songs you know and a couple that you don't know, like that last one. But when I was looking for the songs for this show, I was kind of thinking, you know, Mom, baseball, and apple pie, right? So, well, Mother's Day is, I did those mom songs on Mother's Day, but you all know. Take me out to the ball game, take me out to the farm, oh, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out at the old ball game. And the Brewers are doing pretty well, so it's kind of nice to sing that song, but it's kind of short. You know, there's actually a verse to that song that most people don't know. It was written way back in about 1907, I think, and the verse goes like this. Katie Casey was baseball mad, had a fever and had it bad. Just to root for the hometown crew, Katie blew every sou. When the score it was 2-2, Katie Casey knew what to do. She got right up in front of the crowd, and this is what she said. Oh, take me out to the ball game, take me out to the ground. Oh, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the Brewers. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out at the old ball game. Of course, we had to do one about apple pie. This is not as familiar. But I remember I grew up over on Highway 100 in Layton, not far from here. Used to ride my bike around here. And we lived across from the Conrad's apple orchard. So we had a lot of apples. And whenever my mom was making an apple pie, she'd sing this song to us. And I realized how weird my mom's sense of humor was. Neath the crust of the old apple pie, there is something for you and for I. It may be a pin the cook has stuck in, or it might be a nice little fly. It might be an old rusty nail, or a piece of the pussycat's tail. Whatever it be, it's for you and for me. Neath the crust of the old apple pie. Well, you did a marvelous job singing along there on that song. This next one was written by Shel Silverstein. And if that name sounds familiar, it means you're either into Playboy or children's books, depending on your reference point. But yeah, very talented fella. And his friend Bob Gibson recorded this song. Shel Silverstein had a knack of putting a lot of little, they have a word for it now, but it's like Trojan horses or little yummies in his songs that that if you pick up on, it's like, you know, okay, there's another one. This song has, to my count, 17 song titles in it.
Oh.
And you might hear more than I have, but the sing-along part, which is very easy, goes like this. I hear America singing, lifting her voices so sweet and so strong, like the waves in the wind rolling out, rolling in. I hear America singing her song. I hear America's song. That'll come around a bunch of times. The lonely old cowboy sits in his pickup and sings with his beat-up guitar about truckers and trains and wrecks in the rain and ladies with cold cheating hearts. And the blushing young bride says, drink with thine eyes, and I will pledge with thine. While the crowd in the back room with tears in their eyes harmonize to Old Lang Syne. I hear America singing, lifting her voices so sweet and so strong, like the waves in the wind rolling up, rolling in. I hear America singing her song. I hear America's song. Now the children all laugh as the itsy bitsy spider climbs up that spout again, while up on the stage a wild-haired rocker says, "Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? It's take me out to the ball game." And oh, say can you see, while the Salvation Army band beats on its drum, saying, "Hear my God to thee." I hear America singing, lifting her voices so sweet and so strong, like the waves in the wind rolling up, rolling in. I hear America singing her song. I hear America's song. On the New Jersey corner, under the lamplight, the boys sing shaboom, shaboom, while a million sweet mamas are humming tonight a rockabye lullaby tune. And the marching platoon goes off down the street, saying, "Jody was here when you left, you're right. This land is your land, this land is my land," rings out in the still of the night. I hear America singing, lifting her voices so sweet and so strong, like the waves in the wind, rolling out, rolling in. I hear America singing her song. I hear America's song. So it's wake up, little Susie. Here's to the red, white, and blue. I'm going to Chicago, girl. sorry I can't take you. You can row, 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 row your boat gently down the stream. Let that midnight special shine its light on me, 'cause I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. You'll be the prettiest lady in the Easter parade, on the east side, west side, all around the town. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. I hear America singing, lifting her voices so sweet and so strong, like the waves in the wind, rolling out, rolling in. I hear America singing her song. I hear America's song. So America's story, you can take a lot of different starting points from it. My own family's starting point is when they came here to America. I have ancestors that came from Poland and from Austria, or as they would say, Austria. Yeah, and you jump about, yeah, anyhow. Well, how many of your ancestors came from another country like mine did? Okay, you're on to me. Yeah, unless you're Native American, what Columbus called Indians, then all of our ancestors came from another country. And how many illegal immigrants do we have in our family? Because they didn't even document people that way. So it's kind of a humbling thing when you actually think back on how much. Thank you. Right down there, yeah. Anyhow. So my ancestors from Poland came and landed at Ellis Island back around the turn of the century. So they must have read that poem that's on the base of the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse of your streaming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden shore. In sunless hulls of rotting ships, we take the wild Atlantic trip, greet the Ellis Island slip with our eyes at bellies hollow. A place to love, a place to pray, a chance to work for decent pay, leave our mark along the way for those who soon would follow. On to America we cry, we come to live, perhaps to die, on untilled land with endless sky. God knows what will become. The old world is behind us now. We'll hitch our hopes up to a plow and live in freedom here somehow, in a land called Kingdom Come. From Germany and France we came to northern lands with Indian names, to make our farms and lay our claims to forest, field and county. The sons of Ireland, Finns and Poles, to cut the trees and mine the coal. For our freedom risk our souls to seek the young land's bounty. On to America we cry, we've come to live, perhaps to die, on untilled land with endless sky. God knows what will become. The old world is behind us now. We'll hitch our hopes up to a plow and live in freedom here somehow, in a land called Kingdom Come. We face the western wagon track with what we carry on our backs, find a corner in our sacks for one small piece of homeland. A carved wood box, a piece of lace, a picture of grandmother's face, the seeds of our ancestral place, to plant here where we now stand. On to America we cry, we've come to live, perhaps to die, an untilled land with endless sky. God knows what will become. The old world is behind us now. We'll hitch our hopes up to a plow and live in freedom here somehow, in a land called Kingdom Come. We'll live in freedom here somehow, in a land called Kingdom Come. So our ancestors came to this country, a lot of them with what they had on their back, like it said in the song. And so they had to start all over. And they might, and I noticed on the way here, we went past the Seneca Hale Summer Kitchen, which is the last, I believe, the last surviving building that dates back to the time of Seneca Hale, which is what Hale's Corners is named after. Y'all read the historical marker, didn't you? I checked up people. That's where Hale's Corners got its name, from Seneca Hale, who was, I believe, a cousin or something of Nathan Hale. And he had a brother, that guy's name I can't remember. But I can see these folks coming here to a place like Hale's Corners, and I think technically we're in Muskego, but... No, we are in what? New Berlin. New Berlin. Boy, they must have had fun drawing the lines around here. Okay, well, we all know where the name New Berlin comes from. Not New Berlin, but New Berlin. Clearly there were people who came from Germany who named that section of town. Hale's Corners is named after Seneca Hale. Muskego means sunfish. Yeah. And I have no idea, Tess Corners, who Tess was. But I gotta look that one up. But I'm not sure Tess Corners technically exists anymore. Anyhow, so these folks would get here and you'd have to start accumulating things again. So I'm going to sing a song about accumulating stuff that you might need and play it on what's called a mountain banjo. And this is how banjos were made about 150 years ago. They were made out of wood and actual skin, as opposed to aluminum and plastic that they have nowadays. So anyhow, learned this from a fellow named Oscar Brand. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. So I got myself a shack, and I did what I could. I call my shack, break my back. Guess what? That's your part. I call my shack, break my back. But the land was sweet and good, and I did what I could. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. So I got myself a farm, and I did what I could. I call my farm muscle in my arm, and I call my shack break my back. But the land was sweet and good, and I did what I could. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. So I got myself a duck, and I did what I could. I call my duck out of luck, and I call my farm muscle in my arm, call my shack break my back. But the land was sweet and good, and I did what I could. This is a memory test also, by the way. See how much you've actually been drinking this afternoon. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. So I got myself a cow, and I did what I could. I call my cow, no milk now. Call my duck, out of luck. I call my farm, muscle in my arm, and I call my shack, break my back. But the land was sweet and good, and I did what I could. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. So I got myself a wife, and I did what I could. I call my wife, joy of my life, and I call my cow, no milk now. Call my duck, out of luck. I call my farm, muscle in my can make up a verse about it. Kids. Gotta check with the wife first. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. So I got myself some kids and I did what I could. I called my kid, flipped my lid. Called my wife, joy of my life. I called my cow, no milk now. Called my duck, out of luck. I called my farm, hustle in my arm. Then I called my shack, raid my man. But the land was sweet and good and I did what I could. Hey, Wales? Got everything you need. Son of a gun. When I first came to this land, I was not a wealthy man. So I got myself some friends and I did what I could. And I saw my friends, they never end. And I called my kid, flipped my lid. And I called my wife, joy of my life. I called my cow, no milk now. Called my duck, out of luck. I called my farm, muscle in my arm. And I called my shack, raid my man. But the land was sweet and good, and I did what I could. Well, Wisconsin, and I should have checked this, but I believe Hales Corners was settled in about 1835. That's the number that's sticking in my head at least. This was one of the earliest places settled outside of Milwaukee, and I think it's because this was about a one-day journey if you were heading out the Janesville Plank Road. So, you know, this would be about where you'd stay for the night, which means that a town would spring up around here. My good friend Al Strico is the president of the Hales Corners Historical Society, so he feeds me all this information. But anyhow, there were, you know, folks here in Wisconsin early around the 1800s, and we had some miners down in the southwest corner, 1820-ish. But it wasn't until 1825 that the real influx happened. And the reason for that was because that's when they opened the Erie Canal. So now you could come from whatever country you were coming from, cross the ocean, stop in New York. You could take a riverboat up the Hudson River to Albany, New York. And after 1825, you could get on a canal boat and go all the way across the state of New York to Buffalo, New York on a canal boat, and then get on a lake boat and go through all the Great Lakes and wind up here in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee was a bigger town than Chicago up until about 1850-ish, when they finally connected the trains up to the East Coast. Prior to the coming of trains, Milwaukee was a much bigger town than Chicago was, because we had the best harbor here. When they put in the train tracks, they couldn't put them across Lake Michigan. They had to go down the bottom, and that's why Chicago became a much bigger place. But it's all because of that Erie Canal. You might have grown up singing this one. Called a Newlander, name is Sal. 15 years on the Erie Canal. She's a good old worker, good old pal. 15 years on the Erie Canal. We've hauled some barges in our day, full of lumber, coal, and hay. We know every step of the way, from Albany to Buffalo. Low Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge, 'cause we're coming to a town. You'll always know your neighbor, you'll always know your pal, if you've ever navigated on the Erie Canal. You know I never give up Sal. 15 years on the Erie Canal, 'cause she's a good old worker, a good old pal. 15 years on the Erie Canal. Look out, old mule, here comes a lock. We'll make room about 6 o'clock. One more run and back we'll go, from Albany to Buffalo. Road Bridge, everybody down. Low Bridge, 'cause we're coming to a town. You'll always know your neighbor, you'll always know your pal, if you ever navigated on the Erie Canal. up across the state of New York on a canal boat on that Erie Canal, you're probably tired of sitting around. You want to go into town and have some fun. So you could go in and you could dance with the Buffalo Girls. And that's where this song comes from. It's not about girls with big hairy pets. It's about the girls who lived in Buffalo, New York. Canal boat boys would dance with them when they came through on a run. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? Well, I met a little girl with a hole in her stocking and her knees kept a rocking and her coat kept knocking. The little girl with a hole in her stocking and she danced by the light of the moon. Canal boat boys, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Canal boat boys, won't you come out tonight? Dance by the light of the moon. Well, they danced with the girl with a hole in her stocking and her knees kept a knocking and her toes kept a rocking. Met a little girl with a hole in her stocking and they danced by the light of the moon. Or they might dance to something like, oh, I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Go to Louisiana, my true love for the sea. It rained all night the day I left, the weather it was dry. Got so hot I froze to death, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. You know what, I've actually got a banjo on my knee. Actually, banjo on my thigh doesn't work quite as well. It rained all night the day I left, the weather it was dry. Got so hot I froze to death, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Well, actually, we skipped a little bit of history there because there were, before our ancestors got here, there were Native Americans here on this land, and there were French explorers and missionaries like Father Marquette. I mean, that's why we got the university there in Milwaukee. He came through here. So this song, I'm going to guess this song's got to be about 300 years old at least. And this flute, which was made by Michael Jones, who lives up near Bayfield, is a copy of a 250-year-old flute, Native American flute, in the Smithsonian, one of the Smithsonian, probably the Indian collection. But funny how these songs hang on. You might even know this one. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you away. We're bound away across the wide Missouri. Oh, Shenandoah, I love your daughter, away in rolling river. For her I'd cross the raging water. Away, we're bound away, across the wide Missouri. Well, the captain loved the chieftain's daughter, away you rolling river. But the captain said, the chieftain said, you shall not have her. Away, we're bound away, across the wide Missouri. Away, you rolling river, and the captain stole the chieftain's daughter. Away, we're bound away, across the wide Missouri. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you. Away, you rolling river. Been 7 years since last I saw you. Away, we're bound away, across the wide Missouri. That's the story of Shenandoah. Oh my. That song was actually adapted by American sailors who were traveling around the world. And that is the traditional song that American sailors would sing as they marched around the capstan, hauling up the anchor to go back to America. So I think that's where the part of about the Missouri River got in there, because the Shenandoah Valley's in Virginia, having nothing to do with the Missouri. But the songs change over time and get adapted for different purposes. And that one is considered a traditional sea shanty, which, if you've been tuning in on this stuff with the Wellerman is not a shanty. It's a whaling song, but anyhow. So, as long as we're sort of taking a trip around the United States here, it's summertime, people are traveling again. Let's do some songs about states. Anybody know the state song of Kansas? Really? Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam and the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Something I've noticed about this show is that people know the first verse and they don't know any of the rest of the verse. I actually do know another verse of this one. Oh, give me a night with the sky shining bright from the light of the beautiful stars. How often I've gazed and wondered, amazed, can their glory be greater than ours? Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Oh, let's see, what other state? How about Florida? Way down upon the Swanee River, far, far away, there's where my heart is hurting ever, there's where the old folks play. All the world is sad and weary, everywhere I roam. Oh, loved one, how my heart grows weary, far from the old folks at home. As long as we're down south, we might as well go to Georgia, Georgia. No peace will I find like an old sweet song, puts Georgia on my mind. Georgia, Georgia, for the whole night through. An old sweet song brings Georgia back to you. Well, let's see. How about the state song of Louisiana? It was written by the governor of Louisiana in 1935. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I was sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Now, this one I don't think is the state song of North Dakota. It would work for either North Dakota or Texas, because both of them have a Red River. From this valley they say you are going. I will miss your bright eyes and sweet smile, for they say you have taken the sunshine that brightens my pathway a while. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember the Red River Valley and the cowboy who loves you so true. Got anybody here from Illinois? No? It's okay, their state song isn't that great. By the rivers gently flowing, Illinois, Illinois, over prairies verdant growing, Illinois, Illinois, comes an echo on the breeze, rustling through the leafy trees, and its mellow tones are these. Illinois, Illinois, and its mellow tones are these. Illinois. Of course, a song that really should be a state song, and maybe by now it's been declared as one. Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the sea, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country road. All my memories gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country road. I hear her voice in the morning hours. She calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Riding down this road, I get a feeling I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country road, take me home. belong West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, oh take me home, down country roads. Of course, if those country roads are taking us home, we get back to Wisconsin. On Wisconsin, grand old Badger State. We thy loyal sons and daughters, hail be good and great. On Wisconsin, champions of the right. Forward our motto, God will give thee might. So that's a bit of a trip around the United States. Now, when we talk about and sing what we call patriotic songs, an awful lot of those songs were the result of wars. And this next song is a state song as well. It's the state song of Connecticut. And it comes from the Revolutionary War. Yankee Doodle went to town, riding down a pony, got a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Now, did you ever listen to those words? That song was not sung by the Americans. It was sung by the British at the Americans. It's a put down. The word Yankee is a Dutch word. It comes from Jan Kesa, which is John Cheese. So, and this is because the farmers outside of New York, which was Dutch at the time, prior to the British taking it over and turning it into New York, it was New Amsterdam. Farmers outside of New Amsterdam were referred to as Jan Kesa because they made cheese. So, okay, so John Cheese, who is a doodle, John is a cheese doodle, comes to town riding on a pony. The guy can't even afford a horse. Probably a donkey or a mule or something. So John the cheese doodle comes to town riding on a donkey, puts a feather in his hat and thinks he's very stylish. See, high fashion back then was Italian, and a lot of buttons and bows and what we call bling now would be referred to as macaroni. So John the cheese doodle comes to town riding on a mule and puts feathers in his hat and thinks he's really hot stuff and he's going to dance with the girls. The Americans took that song, just threw it right back at them. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, put a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle did up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step and with the girls behind me. Now father and I went to camp along with Captain Gooding. There we saw both boys and men as thick as hasty pudding. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step and with the girls behind me. And there was General Washington on a strutting stallion, giving orders to his men, there must have been a million. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step and with the girls behind me. Now all the things that I saw there, I guess I shouldn't bother. Tipped my hat and gave a bow when I went home to mother. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step and with the girls behind me. Now Yankee Doodle is a song Americans delight in, good for whistling and for marching, just the thing for fighting. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step and with the girls behind me. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step and with the girls behind me. I forgot to ask you all know what this thing is? Dulcimer, yeah. Appalachian Mountain lap dulcimer. If you still want to learn a musical instrument, it is not too late. This is the simplest, in my opinion, the simplest American stringed instrument. You can learn how to play one of these in 5 minutes. Really? I can teach you after the show if you'd like. Well, like I said, a lot of songs came from wars. Civil War was no exception. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave. I'll come home to my Lord and be free. We'll rally round the flag, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. Oh, we'll rally round the flag, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah. Down with the traitor and up with the stars. We'll rally round the flag, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We shall rally to our ranks, the loyal, true, and brave, shouting the battle cry of freedom. And although we may be poor, not a man will be a slave, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah. Down with the traitor and up with the stars. We'll rally round the flag, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the flame and lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. He died to make men holy, let us live to make men free, while God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Well, after the Civil War, they put in the Transcontinental Railroad. Actually, Abraham Lincoln was very big on getting the Transcontinental Railroad finished because he thought it would help reunite the country. He didn't get around, he didn't last long enough to see that completed. I think it was completed during the administration of Ulysses S. Grant. But one of those little history things that I always find interesting is Lewis and Clark left St. Louis in, I think it was 1804, and it took them 2 years to get to the Pacific Ocean, and another 2 years to come back.
Oh.
They put in the Transcontinental Railroad, and you could leave the East Coast, the Atlantic Ocean, and in about 4 days you could get to the West Coast. And now we can go down to the airport and we can be on the West Coast in about 4 hours.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. Now, when we talk about immigrants, it was the Chinese immigrants that built the Transcontinental Railroad from the Pacific through the mountains. So they had the really tough task. They were also quite proficient with dynamite, though, because that's where dynamite comes from. So they were able to blast, tunnels and stuff. The East Coast gang was mostly Irish, and the Irish would sing a song while working. In 1841, I put my corduroy breeches on, put my corduroy breeches on to work upon the railway. Fill-a-me-o-re-o-re-ay, 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 to work upon the railway. In 1842, I left the old one for the new. It was bad luck that put me through to work upon the railway. Fill-a-me-o-re-o-re-ay, 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 to work upon the railway. It's pat do this and pat do that without a stocking or cravat. Nothing but an old straw hat to working on the railway. Fill-a-me-o-re-o-re-ay, 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 to work upon the railway. Now I'd mentioned these songs change over time. This song changed into a song that you might know. I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morning. Can't you hear the captain shouting? Ride on, blow your horn. I can't find it. Oh, there he is. Time won't slow, time won't slow, time won't slow your horn. Time won't slow, time won't slow, time won't slow your horn. Someone's in the kitchen when I know. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen when I know. Strumming on the old banjo and singing fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, fee-fi, fiddly-I-o. Strumming on the old banjo. So tomorrow's the 4th of July, and if you turn on the radio, depending on what channel you're turning on, you might hear some patriotic songs. And, to be perfectly honest, in the last 40 years at least, I can't say I've heard anything new written that really has stuck. Most of the stuff that we call patriotic songs were written by guys like George M. Cohen and Irving Berlin. Long time ago now, but that is American music. My country is of the sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's bride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, forever in peace red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or parade. Through old acquaintance before dark, keep your eye on the grand old flag. I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, a Yankee Doodle do or die. The real-life nephew of my Uncle Sam, born on the 4th of July. I'm a Yankee Doodle sweetheart, she's my Yankee Doodle do or die. Yankee Doodle went to London just to ride the pony. I am that Yankee Doodle boy. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me her golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. The sun was shining as I was strolling, with wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling. As a fog was lifting, I heard a voice, and it was singing. It might have been Woody Guthrie. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking my freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. For her beautiful and her spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for her purple mountain majesty, the fruited plain of America, America, God shed His grace on thee. I'm round thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. So this is a land full of power and glory, being that words cannot recall. All her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all, on us all. Thank you very much. I'm Dave H.D. Dick, and that's the American Songbag.